Okay.
I'm Stephen Steinviser from Pittsburgh, and the most important aspect of the National Pastoral Musicians to me is singing together with my brothers and sisters from all over the world, from all over the country, every way of life and every culture. It is life-giving. It is truly the Spirit that gives life.
But I don't have to tell you that NPM is so much more than a convention.
Living stone, Christ our Lord, who is our strength, rejected by others, but chosen by God. Hallelujah, hallelujah.
My name is Sister Nylas Moser, and I like NPM because it informs liturgical and musical perspectives and provides opportunities for networking, which leads to valued friendships.
In one of the more exciting events of the Olympiad, we're going to need the clip up here on the screen in just a second. The gift bearer dash was won by Susan Hannibal. There she is. Now you can see it's such a difficult event because you need the speed while still being careful with the sacred gifts of bread and wine. This is how close the finish was.
Music takes us into places of our heart we don't even know we have. You're healers, actually, I think. That's the servant role you have, to heal, but also to inspire.
Remember your mercies, Lord. Remember your mercies, oh Lord. Remember your mercies, Lord. Remember your mercies, oh Lord. Remember your mercies, Lord.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you, at least virtually, as you gather as members of the National Pastoral Musicians. I think you know I'm a Bishop Mark Seitz, so happy to join you in this moment. And I want to invite you to join me in a moment of prayer. We hear in the letter of Paul to the Philippians these words: "Rejoice in the Lord always. I say it again, rejoice. Everyone should see how unselfish you are. The Lord is near." These words have always challenged me. And I think particularly at this moment, they call us to look within ourselves. And so let us pray. Oh, Heavenly Father, help us in this moment, at this time in our life, in the midst of so many challenges and so many trials, to lift our hearts to you and to recognize that you indeed are near. And recognizing this truth, help us to set aside our self-preoccupation, to set aside our worries, to set aside our frustration and our anger, and to rejoice in the recognition that you have overcome the world, that you are present to save us. And as we turn to you with the gift of music, as we raise our voices in song, please, Lord, grant that that work of rejoicing might be expressed, that we might leave ourself behind for a moment and simply be present to you and all of your many blessings. And as we do that, Lord, grant that we might be instruments of your love, of your presence, of your hope to all of those who hear the music that we make. Grant that they might find a new reason themselves to rejoice. Be with us, Lord, in this time of need, and grant that we might be true messengers of peace and of joy in your presence through Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen. Have a great meeting.
My name is Jeremy Helms, and I serve as chair of the board of directors for NPM, and I'd like to welcome you to our 2021 annual members meeting of the association, which shall now come to order. So glad to have you with us, and on behalf of all of those in leadership of the association, I welcome our members and those guests who have joined us tonight to find out more about how NPM serves the church and how you can more fully join us in fostering the art of musical liturgy. Tonight's meeting will be an opportunity for you to hear about the state of the association and to find out more about how NPM is serving you as you serve the church. It will also be a time to honor our major award winners, outgoing board members, and for NPM leadership to answer your questions about NPM. And as Amanda says, it is mostly live tonight. We do have some pre-recorded sections, but mostly live. And so we appreciate your patience this evening as we work through some of the technological things and try to make sure that everyone can hear and see everything. You may know by now that each spring we issue an annual report on all the organizational activity from the previous year. And you can find this at our website, npm.org. I encourage you to check out the many ways NPM has achieved our mission, even in one of our most challenging years ever. And we won't spend a lot of time tonight going through each and every detail and each and every statistic. That's freely available at npm.org. So we invite you to check that out. As you likely know, we embarked upon a major organizational change initiative 2 years ago called NPM 2.0. Its aims were to better serve our members, to attract new members from new parts of the country, and to rebuild our membership in the face of decline in membership associations and the life of the church at large. Additionally, we have begun to strengthen the role of chapters, the local expression of NPM, where pastoral musicians live their NPMness every day of the year. Finally, we also sought to reorganize our governance, our leadership structure, to be more member-led and responsive to the changes in our field and in the church. I am pleased to serve as part of the most diverse and inclusive board of directors in NPM's history, as well as a newly formed council of 14 regional representatives and leaders of our 8 new forums, all seeking to strengthen our association for mission, bringing to life the vision of NPM 2.0. You'll hear from some of them tonight, sharing with you the successes of NPM in the past year and how the vision of NPM 2.0 is continually being realized. And tonight may be the last time that we use the expression NPM 2.0. It's just NPM. Thanks to everyone who has had a part in bringing this vision to life and continuing to help it unfold as we look towards a bright future of service to you, our members, and to the singing church in the United States. Among the many things NPM was able to accomplish, even in spite of the pandemic and all of the challenges of the last year, was the hiring of a new executive director. And so it is my pleasure to introduce to you NPM's Executive Director, Jennifer Klug, who will share with you a look at the many good things NPM is achieving for you, our members, as you serve the church. Jennifer, take it away.
Good evening, and thank you, Jeremy, for that introduction. I want to extend my welcome to all of you joining us live this evening, and we are recording this second annual virtual members meeting. To those of you who may join us later and watch it on our YouTube channel, I say welcome to you. Your participation is just as important. For me, it is really hard to believe that 1 year ago, in September 2020, I was preparing my application to serve as the next executive director of NPM. And thanks to the goodwill of so many, and certainly the grace of the Holy Spirit, I am sitting with you here tonight and so humbled to serve as your executive director. I really don't think that I will ever reach a point that I'm not humbled to be serving in this role and to be serving the church in such a profound way. So again, you'll probably get tired of hearing me say it, but thank you. I am really excited about NPM's future as we continue to pursue the founding vision of Father Virgil Funk to foster the art of musical liturgy, to build an association where clergy and pastoral musicians work collaboratively, and where we support the formation of pastoral musicians at every stage of their career and at every level of proficiency. We are really here to serve all of you. Last year, as so many faced difficulties due to COVID-19, we launched the Member Support Fund to provide one-year memberships to those experiencing financial hardships and job loss. I'm delighted to announce tonight that this fund will be renamed the Mark Kulik Member Support Fund. Many of you know that Mark was a dedicated pastoral musician who believed in nurturing the gifts and talents of all music ministers, particularly those at the early stages of their career. And we have all had somebody like Mark in our lives who have encouraged us on every step of our journey. And how fitting that the Mark Kulik Member Support Fund will allow NPM to assist members through the generosity of you to honor the Mark figure in their life. In just a couple of weeks, you'll be hearing from us as we launch officially our One NPM annual fall fundraising drive. And I'm really excited that as part of that effort this year, we will be having our first ever online auction, and we'll also have some really exciting matching gift challenges too. So we know that we just don't rely on members for that campaign, but for friends and families of NPM too. We have some really exciting programming coming up in the next year as well. We will be having our virtual cantor retreat again, so stay tuned for details of that. You'll see it come in your inbox soon. And we will also, we haven't been able to have it for the past couple of years, thank you COVID, but we will be resuming the annual winter gathering for our premium members, formerly known as the DMMD Colloquium. So we'll be having that event again. Watch your email inboxes for that. I'm very excited that we will be bringing back some of the NPM institutes this year as well. Perhaps maybe looking a little bit different than what you've seen in the past, but those are really important traditions to continue. And I'm pleased that we can be part of that tradition. And then last but not least, how could I forget our 45th National Convention to be held in Louisville, Kentucky. Our plans are starting to come together for that, and I think it's going to just be an amazing gathering for formation and liturgy and fellowship. In a little bit, you will hear from our membership forum about how we are reaching out to past members and members who may have been involved at the chapter level to come and join us at the national level. But for now, I'd like to turn things over to Emily Strand, Chair of the Communications Forum, and Ruben Valadez, member of the Communications Forum, who will highlight some of the content on our refreshed website and some of the features available in the members only area of the website. Emily and Ruben, thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. You know, when Jeremy Helms and Bob McCarty first asked me to be the chair for the Forum on Communications, I was initially very overwhelmed and sort of intimidated by the sort of member engagement they were asking from me, until they explained that my role would not be to provide all this member engagement, but rather to sort of fish for our many members who have the skills, the insight, and the talent to help NPM really look at its communication structures and infrastructure and make sure that it meets our mission just as well as it possibly can. So a couple weeks ago, when some of the NPM leadership asked me if I would give a tour of the website at this meeting, I thought to myself, I could, but you know who would do it better? Ruben Valadez. So Ruben, he is a member of our NPM Forum on Communications, and he is going to show you around the website. Thanks, Ruben.
Thank you, Emily. Hi, everyone. My name is Ruben Valadez, and I'm coming to you live this evening from Eagle Pass, Texas, on the border with Mexico. And I'm going to take a couple of minutes of your time this evening to talk about the most forward-facing and one of the most important communication tools that NPM has. And that, of course, is our website, npm.org. And if you go to your internet browser and type in npm.org, you will see this screen that is on your screen now. And this is our home screen, our home page. It's got a welcome, and most of our home page is dedicated to providing you with the latest news and ongoing courses and events. So this is very important. And for us, the members of the Communications Forum in NPM, this is something that we rely on a lot to disseminate NPM's mission, as Jennifer mentioned at the beginning, fostering the art of musical liturgy. Next, please. So you'll see on this slide, this is still our homepage, and you'll see that the topics there at the bottom are sort of either press releases or ongoing events or the most current news for NPM and things that NPM is involved with. And you see there on your lower right, that includes this very meeting that we're on right now, the 2021 virtual members meeting, along with any news that NPM wishes to communicate to its members or to anyone who is curious about joining NPM and finds themselves looking on this website. Next, please. You will see that there is also an option to view our website in Spanish, and there is a Google Translate tab that you can toggle up at the upper right-hand corner, as you'll see there. I'll tell you, and you'll hear me talk about this later on in the time that I've got to speak with you, language accessibility is very important. We have immigrant communities throughout the United States in our parishes that worship and serve in languages other than English. I am one of those members of music ministry that participates in the liturgy bilingually. And so this is access for those of us who prefer Spanish or looking for Spanish resources in our musical liturgy. Next, please. These are our tabs, and we'll talk about those in a minute. Next, please. This is the lower portion of our homepage, and you'll see here that you have access to professional development opportunities. You'll have access to webinars and workshops that are being conducted through NPM, and they're cut off at the lower left portion. You'll see a nice report on our most recent national convention in New Orleans. Next, please. One of the great things about our website is that it walks you through the membership tiers. You're going to hear a little bit more of that from one of our other forum directors in just a bit, but this is very important. And I can tell you that as a neophyte myself, when I first started my association with NPM, this portion of the website was very helpful because I had something very specific in mind. What I wanted was access to a planning calendar. I wanted access to something that would be able to guide me on choosing hymns and musics every Sunday that were in concert with the liturgy. And this page and the next page that you will see breaks down the access that you have based on your membership, basic, standard, or premium membership tiers. You'll see there at the very top under weekly programming and social media, everyone at whatever membership level has access to something called Ministry Monday podcasts. I highly recommend those. Listening to those, it's a great way to start your week. It's a great way to get inspired for the week ahead and to listen to folks that are in music ministry. Next, please. Great. This is, again, more of the offerings depending on your membership level, and you'll see there right kind of in the middle of your page, digital resources and the members content planning calendar access, which we'll talk about more in depth in just a bit, is one of the things that is available to our standard and premium members. Next, please. Another section of the NPM website is dedicated to professional development opportunities. We are an ever-growing liturgy, and we have to, as you all know, keep up with the times and really hone our skills. And so these are three opportunities in particular for all of us to grow in our knowledge and in our experience. And these are opportunities for cantor certificates, piano accompaniment certificates, and organist certificates. And if you were to click on either one of those tabs, you will see some PDFs that you can download that allow you to look at the skills that are required in order for you to apply to all of these or any one of these certificates. We're very proud of the professional development opportunities that we have at NPM, and it helps us all improve what we do. You'll also notice, by the way, there on the right-hand side that there is a calendar with all of the NPM coming events that you can easily click on and look at those. Next, please. You will see there on that sub-tab, in the About sub-tab, that second to last down on that list is something called the Job Hotline. This is a place digitally, virtually on our website where members seeking employment can post for themselves, or churches, parishes seeking staff can post looking for musicians to serve. Next, please. This is an example of some of the listings that are currently available on our Job Hotline, and you'll see that anything from campus minister for music ministry, pastoral associates, music directors, any parish that is seeking musicians, this is where they would post. Next, please. And this is, again, an example of a parish seeking, in this case, a part-time music minister. There is a fee. I encourage you, if this is something that interests you, there is a fee to be able to post, and some of that detail is on our website. Sometimes we'll also have church music supplies on sale, or products on sale there. So if you want to peruse the Job Hotline portion of our website, I certainly encourage you to do that. Submission is done online or through email if you want to submit your information. Next, please. We'll talk a little bit about the members login portion of the NPM website, and that is that portion in blue that is blocked out there. If you click on that, next, please, you will be directed to this login area where you're able to put in your credentials, and then Once you do that and you click log in, next please, you are directed to this part of the page. This is the members content page. And if you are an NPM member, you'll have access to some of this material. The one we'll focus on today is that tab on the right that says planning calendar. But down below, you'll see 3 other tabs. And real briefly, I'll just tell you what those are. The one on the leftmost side is a tab called From the Convention. And that hosts plenum, addresses and interviews from exhibit halls, some of the same ones that you saw at the beginning of the presentation. So that From the Convention portion is nice if you want to go look at previous conventions and footage therefrom. That middle section is a section that will take you to parts of what we call Pastoral Music, which is NPM's magazine, another important tool for communicating to our members. And Pastoral magazine is a magazine meant for pastoral musicians that are doing research, that are interested in current trends, that are interested in doing liturgical musical research. That is available. And you can go onto that tab, and there are actually archived previous volumes and editions of pastoral music. And that tab on the right is something called the Choral Anthem Project, and it has a list of repertory music that's a little different than what you might usually find. But we'll focus today on that tab called Planning Calendar. Next, please. So when you hit the Planning Calendar tab, you'll go here. A lot of you, I'm sure, are familiar with this page. This is the section of our website that offers music recommendations for not just Sunday masses or weekend masses, but for festivities and other important dates in the liturgical calendar year. What's good about this, I am on here frequently. I direct 2 choirs at St. Joseph's Parish down here in Eagle Pass, Texas. This is great because right off the bat, you're able to see there that we're in ordinary time. Green means ordinary, and the color there on the left-hand side tips you off. Some of our folks have binders, for example, that vary with the different seasons of the church year. So that's an easy way for you to see that we're using our green binder this Sunday or our white binder this Sunday if it's a holy day. You'll see there also recommendations for hymns based on the liturgy for that day, based on the scripture for that day. I'll mention this again, something that I love about the planning calendar portion, and that's very important in my community, is language accessibility. And so you'll see there that the very first hymn that's recommended for the next Sunday, for this coming Sunday, the 26th, is a hymn in Spanish, A Comer Tu Pan. And that is an excellent resource for those of us who serve in English and Spanish. One of the masses that I play and my choir's playing is in Spanish, and another one is in English. So we have to prepare 2 sets of music every Sunday, one in English and one in Spanish. This is a wonderful resource for us to find that. One of the things that the planning calendar page does is it also offers you where to find all of these hymns. And so you've got a whole list of resources where you can go, and it breaks down each hymn by hymnal. So it'll suggest a hymn and tell you where to find that in your gather hymnals, in your we celebrate hymnals, in glory and praise, in ritual song, in the case of Spanish songs, in the Flor de Canto hymnals. And if you're like me, you're left just wanting to buy everything, all of the hymnals, but you know they won't fit in your bookcase, in your bookshelves. So that's one of the really nice things about having access to this planning calendar. Next, please. This is another example. You can break down what kind of liturgical musical recommendation you have by tabs. So in this case, the responsorial psalm settings that are there. It'll offer you several settings from several different hymnals that are available to you. We take great pride in our website. Again, it's one of the most important communication tools that NPM has, and we would certainly encourage all of you to visit our website, take a look around. If you're interested in joining one of those membership tiers, which you'll get some more information about in just a minute, feel free. So again, we invite everyone to come by. Thank you so much for allowing me this time to talk to you and give you a small tour of npm.org. And I will pass it back to our fearless leader in the communications forum, Emily Strand. Emily.
Ruben, thank you so much for that awesome tour of the website. And I will, in my turn, pass it back to Jennifer. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Good evening again. Thank you to Ruben and Emily for bringing us through the website and showing us some of the wonderful members content features that are available to our standard and premium members. At this point, I am going to hand the virtual mic over to Joe Bazoris, who is the chair of our membership forum. And Joe is going to talk through our membership options in a little more detail, as well as highlight some of the initiatives that we have happening right now. Joe?
Thank you, Jennifer. Well, wonderful to be here with you everyone tonight, or this afternoon, depending on what time zone you're in. I hope you can see me. I don't know if you can, but I'm going to keep talking, and hopefully someone will fix the video if there's, let's see. Oh, you can. Okay, great. I'm new to webinar, so this is interesting. So yes, as Jennifer mentioned, I am the chair of the membership forum, and our goal, of course, is to increase and diversify our membership moving forward. And of course, one of the big things that we've had this year, one of the big changes in NPM are our membership tiers. We had many different tiers before we went through the NPM 2.0 process. And now with our newly designed membership tier system, we've gone down to 3 tiers of membership. And those are basic, standard, and premier. Our basic membership level, which is only $39 for the year, was really one of the main components, not the only, but one of the main components of that membership level was really to encourage those that were perhaps chapter only members or people perhaps on the fringes, but not quite sure about dipping their toe fully into the NPM waters, to give us a try. And right now in particular, we're making special outreach to members that have let their membership lapse, or those that have been chapter only members, because of course, you know, now under our new, the new bylaws of NPM, in order to belong to an NPM chapter, you must have a national membership. And so the $39 rate was really, you know, one of the primary goals was to target those chapter only members who are really going to engage with NPM primarily at the chapter level. And so that membership fee, again, is $39. It gives them association to their local chapter. They also get the Cantor newsletter. Not the Cantor newsletter, I'm sorry. Well, they can get the Cantor newsletter, but they also get the NPM notebook emailed to them to keep up to date on the association's activities. And right now, in particular, we have we're running a really special deal where, in particular, those people signing on just for the first time can sign up for the $39 basic membership rate and get 15 months instead of the 12-month. So we're running that for a limited time right now to really hopefully encourage people to try out an NPM membership and especially belong to their local chapter. That's definitely one of the main goals there. The standard membership is $119. That's probably the closest association we have to our regular membership level that we had in past years. And again, of course, one of the primary benefits of the standard membership is you, you of course get the Pastoral music magazine sent to you, but it also allows you access to the liturgical planning site, which Ruben just wonderfully took us through and showed you all the different options in the liturgical planning guide. And that can be a real key aid and enticement for those that are responsible for planning music for weekend liturgies. And, you know, and that can range from different people. It can be choir directors, but I also know definitely there are some cantors out there that are also responsible for planning the music as well. This is a really wonderful, helpful tool, and a great incentive for them to become standard members. And last but not least, our premium membership level, which is $169. This is, in past years would have been closest akin to the DMMD membership that we had. It has now become the premium membership level of $169. It's just one membership fee. What this does, it gives you, of course, all of the benefits that you've had in the lower levels, but you also have added opportunities to attend some special gatherings, like the winter gathering that Jennifer said we are relaunching, which is really exciting. I can speak for myself that I've attended past ones that were previously called the DMMD colloquiums, and these are wonderful, really intensive sessions to attend, to really dig deep into some liturgical music matters. So it's a wonderful benefit of being at the premium level. Another thing that the membership forum really strives to foster is involvement in chapters. And we've made a lot of really strong strides in chapters. I apologize for my 2-year-old who has burst into the scene that you can probably hear in the background. That wasn't supposed to happen, but that's life. So we have a lot of new chapters forming in our organization. Primarily, I'm proud to say, in California, which is where I'm from. I'm from Los Angeles. Status as a chapter, and in the last year, the Diocese of Orange, our neighbor to the south, has applied and gotten their temporary charter, which we're very excited about. And we have the Diocese of San Bernardino and the Diocese of Fresno working towards applying to their temporary charter. So Southern California has suddenly exploded with chapters, which we're very excited about. And I want to give special thanks to Lauren McCall, who is our regional rep for Region 11, because she's been very instrumental in working with different leaders within those different ones. I'm really excited to see all those coming up. Yeah, I know. Can you go on with your brother, please? Adam, can you take your sister, please? And so we also have the possibility of a diocese, the chapter forming in the Diocese of Harrisburg in Pennsylvania. We've had some interest there and interest in other parts of the country. So I know I'm highlighting California a bit. That's because those are pretty strong to, I'm getting messages, you love the cameos. I'm glad you love the cameos. My children are famous for it. People will tell you that have had Zoom meetings with me. We're also working to revitalize some chapters in different areas that have had chapters maybe that are changing their structure and having to restart a bit, or are perhaps have been a little bit inactive and are strengthening up. So we're having some meetings and working on revitalizing the chapter of New York City, the Diocese of New York, I should say, as well as Philadelphia has gone through some changes, but they have renewed their leadership and are really pushing strong and forward. Pittsburgh as well has some new leadership and is pushing ahead with some exciting things. So we've got some really exciting things on the horizon in terms of chapters. We, of course, always have room for more chapters. So if you are interested in getting a chapter going in your diocese, please reach out to myself at membershipforum@npm.org, and we'll be happy to point you in the right direction in getting a chapter going. The last thing I want to mention is member leadership is a really important part of the new structure of NPM. Since she's so wildly trying to get on camera, I'll just sit her on my lap because I think that'll be better. All members, I want to point out, are eligible to be elected to the NPM Council now. And so it doesn't matter if you're a basic member or a premium member, you can be elected to the NPM Council. And so the NPM Council in particular, a large portion of the council consists of the regional representatives, which represent you, our members. And we have 3 regions that have elections coming up in November: Region 4, Region 8, and Region 12. And if you want to learn a little bit more about those regions and if you fit into them, I encourage you to visit the website as we detail out on the website what regions cover what states in our country. But we definitely encourage you, if you're in those regions, to start reaching out to us if you know people that are interested in being a part of the NPM Council, because those elections will be coming up shortly. You're just trying to get all the attention, aren't you? If that's okay. Of course, as always, we always want to know how we can better serve you, our members here at NPM. That's the goal of the membership forum, is to increase membership and to also serve our existing membership. So if there's any ideas you have about how we can serve you, our current members, better, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, and the forum will work to make that a reality. Thank you so much for your attention. I'm glad that I hopefully kept it. Thank you for the compliments about me keeping my focus. I have 4 kids, so I'm kind of used to dealing with distraction. I am going to pass it over back to Jennifer before anything else possibly happens that I wasn't expecting, because I think I've covered all the topics that I was going to cover. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Thank you, Joe. I think that is called real life. So again, I applaud your amazing concentration. At this point, we have a quick video that we're going to show highlighting some of our chapters and how they held it all together over the past 18 months.
The most positive thing we've done here in Louisville is we've started to have monthly Zoom meetings recently. And we have about 15 members that show up all the time, sometimes 20. So we're gaining momentum. The greatest thing about this is there are new faces that join, and there are young faces that have been joining. And as we have been sharing, we have been able to call out to these other faces, new faces, young faces, to present. For example, one, Holly Smith, she just got her doctorate, but she was really helpful with live streaming. And she came on, she gave a presentation, and then she gave everyone a whole document on tips on live streaming, what to do, what not to do, et cetera, et cetera.
Last summer, we started these on Friday. It met the need last summer. We did these Friday happy holy hours, and we would come and we would just chat for half an hour or so, and then we would have a special guest join us who was anywhere from Steve Angrisano, Sarah Hart, Jeanette Whitaker, who's actually part of our diocese, Michael Rosinski, is that his name? Michael. I mean, almost like everybody but Matt Maher.
In our chapter, usually we plan 3 or 4 events a year. There are various reasons for that. It seems like people won't come out for more than that in this diocese in Rockville Center. We're very close to New York City. There's a lot of things happening. People want to do other things. So we have found that that's a good formula. And we have things that we do sometimes every year or every other year where we bring back. We did run Zoom meetings, and we had some great success with some and not so much with others. And it was really very difficult to tell what was going to happen. We had a few things in the fall about, it seems like if it's an instructional thing with a change that is happening in how we're going to have to do our music ministry in the church, a lot of people show up.
Our level of engagement has pretty much remained pretty steady. It's been, we've tried to keep things as normal as possible. I mean, we typically do about 3 chapter meetings a year and 2 major events. So we pretty much kept everything as is. We just transferred it to a virtual format. it was very important for us not to cut down just because we were trying really hard to be more present than ever, especially knowing that, musicians were struggling with the inability to serve other parishes and make music. So our approach was, we cannot make music right now the way we're used to. So let's just use this time to focus on formation and grow as musicians and ministers.
It's at this point that I think I'm just going to pop in and share my portion of the evening, which is our Q&A portion of the evening. Although my attendee says Berta Sabrio, I am Amanda Bruce. Berta and I had to switch Zoom accounts this evening. So I'm glad today to share that many questions have been asked for tonight's Q&A portion of the members meeting. And so for that reason, I'm going to do my best to go through them as quickly as possible. If we missed your question or you wanted more clarification on your question, please feel free to reach out to us. Jennifer, I'll just give Jennifer's email address is director@npm.org, and she would be able to field your question or direct it to someone who can. So with that being said, I'm going to do these in a little bit of a rapid fire way. So I'm just going to call some people out, and if you are a panelist and I think you might be the best person to answer it, I will give you a little shout out. So actually, I am going to start with Jennifer. Jennifer, someone asked this evening, if I was only an NPM chapter member in the past, do I automatically become a national member? And if not, how do I join?
That was an excellent question. I saw that one come up in the chat. So under this new structure, when you join the national organization, whether it's at the basic, standard, or premium level, when you sign up at national, you choose your chapter. So you no longer have to join a chapter and pay one set of dues and join national. You join national, and as long as there is a chapter in your diocese, you can be affiliated with that one. If there's not one in your diocese, you'd like to start one, we welcome that too.
Follow up too for that one, Jennifer. Does chapter members require separate dues at this time?
No, you do not require separate dues. Under our new structure, one of the benefits is that 15% of your dues that you pay to national will be returned to the chapter for use at the local level.
Okay, great. All right, I'm going to ask Jeremy 2 questions if that's okay now. So Jeremy, what happened to offering choral practice tracks to basic members? And this was a question by Karen.
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, certainly we're always trying to calibrate the services we offer to members and trying to figure out what is and isn't useful. And so I would expect that you can continue to keep an eye on npm.org to see the kinds of things that are going to be offered. And we always encourage you to share your thoughts about what's useful to you, and we'll calibrate our offerings accordingly.
And then I'll also give you a follow-up question. Someone asked in advance, is there still a clergy committee? And if so, who is chair? Thank you.
It's a great question. We've reorganized our structure so there's no longer interest sections per se, but there are still affiliation groups, and many of those are clustered around our forum for affiliation and advocacy, chaired by Lena Gokelman from San Antonio, Texas. And so she's looking at how do we actively engage clergy in the life of the association, and there is still a group of clergy that is affiliated with NPM. So I would encourage you to reach out to Lena, reach out to the national staff. If you're a priest, a deacon, a seminarian, we'd be happy to try to get you connected with other clergy who are involved in NPM.
Great. I'm going to ask another question of Jennifer. So although this is a little bit of a long question, so hang on just for a second. Although NPM certifies cantors on various levels of technique, basic theory, and liturgical knowledge, certification does not appear to provide any financial benefit to the vocalist. Has NPM considered establishing and promoting financial compensation guidelines for cantors or professional choristers or vocalists, similar to diocesan guidelines currently recommended for at the diocesan level?
Mm. That is a great question. At one point in time, prior to my arrival at NPM, we did offer some type of job descriptions, and as I understand it, some salary guidelines as well. That's really difficult to manage on a national level, because if you are in Chicago versus if you are in a really small town in Kansas, those salary ranges could vary so widely. So that's why we strongly suggest that that members or those interested consult with their diocesan offices, or maybe those within some geographic proximity. Certainly, anybody earning a certificate, that is an accomplishment that should be celebrated, and we do hope that we can really build a case to associate that with some financial compensation as well.
Jeremy, you have anything to add to that?
No, I think Jennifer, everything Jennifer said is right. The other piece of this is that other organizations have found themselves in hot water to legal trouble from this kind of work. And so we're trying to walk a really fine line between not getting sued, not getting arrested, and still being able to try to support pastoral musicians and parish leaders in this role. So I think it's far better to look to the diocesan leaders where you work for this kind of information.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's a definite concern too for the FTC, if I remember correctly as well.
Yes. Yep.
Jeremy, I'm going to ask you probably the biggest question of the night. Jeremy, this is submitted in advance. What is the mission of NPM? In the beginning, it was to improve the quality of the music in terms of musical, pastoral, and liturgical quality. What is the mission at this time? I get the impression that there is so much concern with the internal workings of the organization that NPM has lost its sense of mission, a lot of effort and energy on maintenance and not so much on mission. So it's a question of mission.
It's a great question. And I always love talking about mission because it really gets to the question of why are we here? Why do we exist? And you're right. I think somebody could rightly observe that over the last couple of years, we've spent a lot of time looking at our internal way we do things, our structure and governance, and what are we programming? How are we serving? And all of that was part of an effort to regroup and be able to be more focused on mission going forward. I would like to think that even over the last 2 years, as part of the NPM 2.0 project, we've been able to really continue to serve our members, continue to serve the church. I've been really proud of the kinds of work we've been able to do as an association, even in the midst of all these challenges. And I really do believe that we are now stronger because of the work we've done over the last couple of years to better equip ourselves for mission. The bottom line answer to your question is our mission hasn't changed. We began with a mission to foster the art of musical liturgy. That's still our mission. It's still why we're here. Our members wake up every day attempting, and I think for the most part, succeeding in leading a church at prayer, making worship better on Sunday morning through musical liturgy. And that hasn't changed and it won't change. That's why we're here.
Thank you. All right. And if it's okay, I'm going to take the last question. So someone asked in the chat box early on, Jose asked, is there a book or literature pertaining to music and liturgy that you'd recommend? Now, to me, the reason I asked to take this question is because that to me opens up a world of opportunity and options. I think there are a lot of books and literature pertaining to music and liturgy. I strongly recommend exploring offerings by Liturgical Press or LTP, as they often will have books on this topic. But I do have to mention, if you are looking into digging in deep about music and liturgy and really, really opening your worldview, I strongly recommend to explore the Essentials of Catholic Liturgy program that LTP specifically offers, because we have heard from many of our members that it has been a game changer in terms of their understanding of Catholic rites, rituals, sacraments, and also, of course, how that pertains and relates to the liturgy and music as well. So information is on NPM's website at npm.org about that. And lastly, with that being said, that's all we have time for that. If there are any other questions or comments or concerns, again, please feel free to email Jennifer at director@npm.org, and she will get that information out to the people that can help you best.
That's awesome, Amanda. Thank you for leading us through some Q&A. We are planning tonight to go till about 8:15 p.m. Eastern, so hang with us a little bit more because we have some more exciting stuff to put in front of you tonight. One of the things I think you can always tell about an association You can know what's going on in an association and what they value by who they present awards to. And each year, the board of directors of NPM is pleased to present two major awards. The first is the Pastoral Musician of the Year Award, and the second is the Jubilate Deo Award. And so to present those awards, we'd like to share with you a little video.
The Jubilate Deo Award is the highest award given by the National Association of Pastoral Musicians, awarded by NPM's Board of Directors only to true giants, to those women and men who make the most significant contributions to the liturgical life of the Church in the United States. Jesuit Father John Baldovin is a professor of liturgical and historical theology at Boston College. A priest of the New York province of the Society of Jesus, Father Baldovin has taught at numerous institutions of higher learning for over 50 years. He has authored several books on the liturgy and sacraments, countless articles in nationally and globally respected journals. Father Baldovin has advised the U.S. Bishops' Committee on Divine Worship, led the North American Academy of Liturgy, and currently sits on the board of the famed journal Theological Studies. His 2008 book, Reforming the Liturgy, a response to the critics, shaped my own understanding of the long arc of liturgical renewal and reform, and has been an invaluable contribution to the scholarship on liturgical history since Vatican II. In addition to his many academic and literary contributions to the praying church, Father Baldovin also assists with weekend masses in Cambridge and Lexington, and Bostonians are blessed by his passion and care for the liturgy. On behalf of the Board of Directors and the entire National Association of Pastoral Musicians, it is my pleasure to present the 2021 Jubilate Deo Award to Father John Baldovin.
Great. So this year, you are NPM's Jubilate Deo winner, which means rejoice in God, NPM's highest honor. What did you think when you were contacted about this?
Well, I'd like to think that it was a mistake, but no, that you got the wrong person. No, I knew you wanted to write to me and ask me to receive it. I mean, of course, I was immensely flattered.
You've written on how the Mass unites us to the Lord and to one another. As we prepare to return to whatever this new normal is going to be, we'd love to hear your thoughts and get any advice you might have to offer about building new relationships and strengthening existing bonds.
Great, thanks. Thanks, Berta. That's the $64 question, isn't it? I think now, we have another opportunity. We have to seize these as opportunities, right? It's a big challenge, right? Especially now with another wave of the virus seeming to come at us. It's a big challenge, but it's an opportunity for us as ministers to reflect on what does it mean for people to actually come together. I think I said some things toward the beginning of the presentation about how people have gravitated, of course, people who want to worship in a Catholic way have gravitated towards the online celebrations, understandably. But I hope that's made us realize that it's not a substitute for our being gathered physically together. And I think one thing that we have not achieved in the 60 years of the post-Vatican II reform is to help people to understand that the liturgy is a communal exercise, truly communal.
You are not yourself an NPM member, but peripherally you have had experiences, of course, this year and otherwise, with us as an association. So, given your limited time but definite experience with us, what have you learned about the association?
What have I learned about the association? That's a good question. Well, I know that it's, I think I said said this in a way a couple of times, I hoped at the beginning and at the end of my presentation. I know that you are the people who are the boots on the ground, if you will, in our work for helping people to celebrate, to worship together. And so I know the hard work that people put in, not only the musicians, but the people who work with the musicians. I think it's very important. I know you get a number of pastors who come, and I think that's extremely important because one of my convictions is that liturgical music programs don't really work unless there's cooperation between pastors and musicians. And as I said, I know a great number of you pastoral musicians, and I have the highest regard for what you do.
You've given us plenty to think about, just like you did in your plenum address this year. And I thank you so much for your insights, because as pastoral musicians, it gives us enough to think about and remind ourselves that the music that we use is such an integral part to teach, to inspire, and to engage actively and consciously those among us in what we hope, like you said, will be in-person gathering to the fullest expression very soon.
Right. Can I add something to that,
Totally.
Amanda? Because it's hard to shut me up once I get going.
And rightly so. Go ahead.
Yeah. One of my principles in preaching, of course, I'm a preacher as well as a teacher. One of my principles in preaching is to ask myself beforehand, what do I want people to walk away with? And I think pastoral musicians might want to do the same kind of thing. Given the choice of the music I've made for today, what effect do I want this to have, given the whole, the scriptures that we've read, the situation we're in, et cetera, et cetera? I think that would be a good practice.
I think that's a perfect way to end our time with you today. We're so grateful that you gave us this time, and as always, your inspiration and your thoughts as you joined us here for this members meeting tonight. But thank you again, and congratulations on being this year's Jubilate Deo Award winner.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Berta. Nice to be with you.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Good afternoon. My name is Mag Matuska, and I serve NPM as the Vice Chair of the Board of Directors. And I'm honored today to present the Pastoral Musician of the Year Award to Richard Cheri. As we have seen and we have heard, the active participation of the Assembly is foremost in Richard's mind. He calls forth the gifts of musicians and non-musicians alike, drawing out the harmony that connects us as a human family. He serves humbly under the radar, lifting others up while he works diligently without fanfare. In the tradition of Reverend Clarence Rivers, Archbishop James Patterson Lake, Sister Thea Bowman, Sister Pat Haley, and Leon Roberts, he has led the church here in New Orleans and indeed the United States into a rich experience of the multitude of gifts offered by African American Catholics. In addition to being an accomplished composer, arranger, and producer, he has been a champion of many Black Catholic composers and artists, and an inspiration to countless students, choir members, and musicians of all backgrounds. And in gratitude for his decades of leadership, we are honored to present the 2021 Pastoral Musician of the Year Award to Richard Cheri.
Once again, welcome to this beautiful edifice. You know, when I walk into the cathedral, I'm reminded of the history of this place, and I'm reminded of my own journey in music ministry where it began in 4th grade as a member of the Epiphany Choristers, an all-boy choir. And at that time, of course, the church was transitioning from the Latin Mass to the vernacular. And of course, it was singing in that choir that I learned that the proper response to Dominus Vobiscum was Ecum Spiritu Tuo, and not Here Come Spirits 2 in a row. I come to you today as a product of a very important event in the American Catholic Church, the emergence of a new paradigm of Catholic worship that is authentically Black and truly Catholic. The Bishops' Committee on the Liturgy describes it as, quote, the joy and hope to be found when the African American religious spirit touches the heart of Catholic liturgy. Why this new genre of liturgical literature at the dawn of the 21st century? Karl Rahner and other scholars comment that liturgical theologians must tap the rich reservoir of spirituality and theology that is erupting within the liturgical practice of its diverse cultural communities. Normative statements about the church's worship cannot carry the full burden of articulating the church's liturgical encounter with the living God. Nor can the comprehensive work of liturgical theology be shaped by the perspectives of a single culture.
Good evening, everybody. Those are great memories from New Orleans. My task on behalf of the board of directors and indeed the whole membership of NPM is to express thanks, which seems like an inadequate word, but our great thanks to two board members who are leaving us, whose terms are concluded. To Mary Preet and to Dan Wyatt, thank you for your generosity. Thank you for your wisdom, for your honesty, and for your hours and hours and hours of service in meetings, in running elections, in chairing committees. We thank you deeply.
Good evening. I just also want to add my thanks to Mary and Dan, particularly on behalf of the national staff. We understand the countless hours, as Meg said, that you put into the work of our association, and we remain deeply grateful. We know that you will both continue to be involved in some capacity on both the national and the chapter level. And we're delighted that you're not going anywhere and that we get to continue to call upon your expertise. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I'll turn it back over to Jeremy.
Well, thank you everybody for the many things that you have contributed to tonight's meeting. It's really great to get such a great report of the work of NPM over the last year, to see in front of us in one place all of the different ways that our members are serving the church, our members are serving our Sunday assemblies at prayer, growing in their own formation, and preparing themselves for a future that I think is bright. And so I want to thank everybody for being here tonight in person, or if you're watching this in the future, we're glad that you were able to log in and see some of the good work that our association is doing. Finally, on behalf of everyone in leadership, I just want to say thank you to everyone who plays a role in leadership within the association. Our many, many chapter directors, those of you who serve on forums, those of members of the council, we're just so grateful to everyone who participates in leadership in any way in the association. Thanks especially for all the work you do at the chapter level. The chapters are the local expression of NPM, and we look forward to continued growth in the chapters throughout the United States. And as Joe mentioned, if you're interested in forming a chapter in a place that doesn't already have one, please let us know. You can always write to npmsing@npm.org to let us know what else we can be doing to help build the association and serve the church. Finally, I want to thank the members of our national staff for their work, not only in helping to make this meeting tonight so effective, but the work they do throughout the year. It's been a challenging year for nonprofits of all kinds and for membership associations in particular. And I just want to express gratitude on behalf of the member leaders of the association to our staff and the work they do throughout the year. Again, thanks for being here tonight. May we see you soon, either online at our winter colloquium or hopefully next summer in Louisville for our annual convention. With that, I hope you have a great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are. Let's all keep up our mission of fostering the art of musical liturgy. Have a great night, everybody.